In front of me now is the Samsung S95B rocking firmware 1082, the day one firmware update, back when colors just popped in a way that they just do not pop on the ones that have been updated. Sorry for everybody who updated. Now, that being said, I will tell you that this year, 2024, we're looking at brightness. Brightness is the biggest thing that they're talking about at CES. It is what everyone is on about. So the biggest thing that you need to know about brightness is that you're going to get more shades of color at higher levels of brightness that just aren't possible unless you hit a higher level of brightness, right? Like color volume is very much a thing. So I think we all are aware of that. And if you're not aware, essentially the whole idea with color volume is, imagine your TV super dim. It's going to have a darker shade of red. It can't hit a brighter shade of red because it doesn't have the brightness to show you that shade of red. It's all about gradients, and the more brightness you have, the more gradients and the more color and your, let's call it a pencil box, okay, that you're able to see. Now that's wonderful and fantastic. However, that isn't always what ends up happening. Sometimes you have what's called dilution of color. Those of you who know, usually it happens on WOLEDs, but it's happening now on QD OLEDs. I saw it with the Samsung series of televisions, right? And we've talked about how, again, the brightness doesn't always help these televisions, and sometimes it hurts them, especially once you get to TVs like the S90C, where they have the lower end quantum dot filtering inside of them. That's where we have the biggest problem. Now, again, this isn't something that most people will probably care about if you're coming from a super outdated old TV or something that doesn't have quantum dots. Honestly, anything with quantum dots is going to probably amaze you, right? Because you've never seen it in your home before with your content, then you're not going to be too picky. But again, these things are premium products and they have a price tag associated with them. So that's why, again, you have to do independent verification to make sure when they say that they're going to look a certain way or, appeal to a certain demographic, that they're doing just that. I mean, the reds right now are just next level on the S95B rocking this day one firmware. And I'm truly hoping that even though the brightness has increased for the peak white only, by the way, that the color brightness doesn't take a hit as a result. Now, peak white, again, we're just talking about anytime there's the color white or a really bright highlight, like this fire here, the highlight detail is just going to be through the roof on those newer OLEDs. Now, I will be testing this day one to see how it holds up against the, next generation, if you will, and see if it's actually changed. Because if it's one of those cases where they end up improving something massively, I definitely want to tell you. But counteractively, if they are just kind of selling you a similar level of brightness that you had before, I think that's something we all would want to know. Now, again, I'm still very excited about this innovation and the way that they've gone about the next level of brightness, but I really haven't heard much about motion improvements. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but home theater processors are a thing. They're like literally dedicated home theater processors made for the sole purpose of fixing the awful motion that we run into on a day-to-day basis with our movies, 24p judder, the stuff I talk about all the time, right? See, there are tons of audiovisual enthusiasts that know about this, and I really hope that these technologies become more affordable, because right now, only the ultra-rich can afford these kinds of processors. I mean, the average price is going to set you back tens of thousands of dollars in some cases, so seriously, it's not affordable for everybody. But the point with that is motion processing needs to be a focus. It's great that we're talking about brightness, but again, brightness kind of seems to be their one-trick pony because they're kind of at a point of diminishing returns in terms of processing power. Now, Hisense this year did talk about their processor, and they did mention that they're gonna have a better processor. We will see and we will test it. Again, the whole independent verification thing. They can claim whatever they want on the box and at a press conference, and yes, the journal mill will do its job, but at the end of the day, we're going to make sure we're doing our part to make sure we're all getting what we deserve out of these products, because at the end of the day, we are paying for them, and then again, when you're putting a premium on something, you want to make sure you're getting what you're paying for. That being said, though, that's a really exciting thing, brightness we're talking about, and I think TCL, Hisense, they're going to dominate LEDs. Again, we will be testing that. Again, OLEDs, they're improving in terms of brightness, but we aren't hearing anything in terms of what that's going to do for burn-in. So if you recall with the A95 I think it's the A95K series. The big thing was it had a heatsink and the Samsung S95B did not. Everybody was worried that, like, yeah, Samsung's brighter than the Sony A95K, but it doesn't have a heatsink, so nobody cares. Now, magically, nobody's talking about a heatsink, even though we are talking about record-breaking brightness on OLEDs. So what changed? I mean, I feel like if Sony comes out and says, oh, but we put a heatsink in ours, then it'll kind of turn into that same conversation again. It's like you don't know you need or want something until they tell you you need it. So don't be that guy also. Always go in with a plan, know what you want, what you need before someone starts selling something to you, because that's always what you want. But that being said, either way, we're going to be investigating and we are going to be analyzing everything as we see it come out. It is exciting, but also I like to provide a little bit of realism and kind of take a lot of the hype out of things, because the hype train will continue every single year. But again, as consumers, especially during an inflated economy, we have a responsibility to make sure we're providing the best for our families. And I'm here to help you do just that. That being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later.